Welcome to Thenology. Hi, John. My name is John Bowling. I'm president. Today, we're going to talk about our managed services program, what it entails, what it can do for you, and how we can solve a lot of your problems, and most importantly, reduce downtime, increase uptime, which at the end of the day means to increase productivity. So essentially, our managed services program specializes in managing your networks, your systems, and your applications remotely. There are times when some on-site work will be needed, but for the most part, we can do 99% of everything we need to do remotely, and we'll go through how we do that. And sometimes to save coming to site and incurring those expenses, we will purchase equipment, drop ship it to you, and just have you plug it in for us. Typically, that entails plugging in the power and plugging in what's called the Cat5 cable on the network cable. Thenology has been in business since 2004. We've been doing managed services since 2004, and over the years, of course, we've expanded out. We were one of the very first cloud providers, not just in the nation, but probably worldwide. We've been providing the cloud since well before it was even the term was even coined. Ever since our inception, actually, we began doing virtual desktops back in late 2004 and into 2005 and beyond. The technology itself is not new. In fact, I was doing virtualized systems for control systems, virtualizing control systems during my career in the oil industry back in the middle and late 80s. So we are able to provide the type of services and develop the reputation that we have because we for the most part, employ engineers to perform all our work for us. So the folks that we have, myself included, are typically some type of sciences engineers, all the way from PhDs on down to myself, that's a bachelor's. We have a server farm of over 200 servers of our own. In 2014, we built our own data center. So the server farm that we have provides us with a lot of the experience and expertise that we can pass on to you as a managed services customer. In fact, many of the tools that we use and deploy internally to manage all of our servers, we use those same tools to manage your systems and your network. So we're all set up, ready to go, and have been for a long time. In fact, the tools we've been using, since 2006, maybe 2007. They've changed hands a number of times, but it's essentially the same tools, but of course they've undergone lots of changes and lots of capabilities over the years. As part of what we do, we stay open 24/7, 365. A lot of our virtual desktop infrastructure customers work around the clock, and so do, of course, some of our managed services customers. So one of the other things that we have achieved over our time of providing remote desktop services is application expertise. And we've gained that because we've got over 100 applications over the years that we've got installed on our servers, and we're managing them, providing the updates, the upgrades, and in fact, if there's anybody that has to call the vendor to rectify any issues that's going on with the software, then that entity is us. We do all of that for you. So you have a one-stop call. You call our NOC, our Network Operations Center, and you will be quickly attended to. And if we do need to call the vendor, then we will. But for the most part, we don't have to. We've been doing this a long time, and we've built a knowledge base that really points us towards a lot of the solutions to rectify the problems. As an example, we probably haven't called QuickBooks in 10, 12 years. So to do this, we, as I mentioned, we use a number of tools. One of the main tools we use is from a company called Datto, and the product is just called Datto. But what we do here is we take an applet and we install it on your local desktop or your servers. And that applet then communicates with our servers here in the data center. And it provides us all the information that we need to know to manage your systems proactively. So if you look at the screen here, we've got the names of the computers, we've got the status, we've got the operating system. It also tells us what antivirus is installed, what other applications are installed. It tells us the LAN IPs, and then of course the WAN IPs, which we are communicating to your office with across the WAN to the LAN. In addition to that, it gives us the ability to log in and rectify issues on your machines on or before they're happening. So we can do this through what's called a command prompt, or we can go in through a remote desktop services where we have to get you, the user, to give us permission to access your PC. When we're doing it from the command prompt, we can't do that much, but we can do things like write scripts that will clean up a hard drive space and stuff like that. So if you look on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see all of the things that we're able to manage remotely. And of course, the big things are things like disk space. As I just mentioned, if we need to clean up disk space, we can just write a script through a command prompt and delete all of the log files that get built up, especially through antivirus activity or botnets or stuff like that. So we're able to clean those up without having to bother you while you're working. For the more serious things, if we've got a serious problem, that requires administrator approval or stuff like that, then we will obviously remote desktop in, ask you for permission to share your desktop, because we want to respect all of those personal files, personal information that may be up on your employees or even on your customers as well. So some of the other things that we get to manage is the memory. So if we see memory being used up quite dramatically, then typically that tells us that we've probably got a botnet condition or some other type of virus activity on your machine that is eating up all of the resources. The way you know it's going on is because your system seems really slow, but we get alerted, and we've got in Datto we can set up different alert events, so normal alerts, high alerts, and critical alerts. And those critical alerts get sent off to our ticketing system. And as the ticketing system takes in that alert, the ticketing system is how our NOC guys, how our engineers manage their workflow. So they're able to manage through the tickets and address each ticket as it comes in. And again, the tickets have a hierarchy of normal, high, and critical. When we get a critical ticket, then we usually stop, or not usually, we do stop all work on other tickets to resolve the critical ticket, to ensure that we keep you up and running to maximize that productivity as much as possible. Naturally, sometimes it's not possible to do that, but for the most part, if we can catch these things early through the tools that we use and deploy, and some of the things that we can do in the background, we can save you a lot of time and aggravation by proactively taking care of the issues before they happen. I was mentioning earlier that we've created a database. It's actually our knowledge base. It's part of our ticketing system. We've created this over the years with literally quite hundreds, maybe thousands of different error messages. And this is an example of the one you're looking at on the screen. Is from excuse me, a product called Dentrix. Dentrix is a dental package, obviously, and we put into the knowledge base those errors or those problems that we think other people within our organization need to know about in the event that they need to fix it. We don't put everything in here, because if we were to put everything in here all of the time as the events occurred, we'd flood ourselves with information. So we put in the things that are not obvious to the person trying to rectify the problem, so that they can quickly go here to this knowledge base without having to call the vendor. Obviously, there are times when we have to call the vendors, but for the most part, we always go to our own knowledge base first before we default to the vendor. Now, another part of the managed services program is your backup. Backup, especially today with the advent of the crypto viruses and things like that, has really become a really critical part of any organization's IT planning and disaster recovery planning. And so we use a product called Asse. We've been using these guys since about 2006, 2007. So we've grown with them and they've grown with us. And over the years, they've added a lot more capability to this product line. Now we have this product installed on one set of backup servers that back up your data every night. But then it has a mirroring function. So we back up the backup servers to another live set of backup servers. And then at the end of every month, every 30 days, we take these backup servers and we back them up to hard drives and send them off to a company here in Austin called SafeSite, which is a data records management secure facility for storing critical data. It's like a mini Iron Mountain. I'm sure most of you have heard of Iron Mountain, probably the most recognizable name in data storage and things like that. So we do that, and so we've always got at least a year's worth of your data, and sometimes more. If you ask us to store it longer, we'll be happy to do that for you. And also, the nice thing about this particular backup package, as you can see, it's got a nice GUI that allows you yourself, if you don't want us to get in there and recover files or things like that for you, it's got a GUI for you to do it yourself. Now, the thing to remember about backup and recovery, when you have a disaster, the recovery of the data turns into be the long pole in your tent. It takes about 3 to 4 times as long to recover data from backup systems as it did to back it up in the first place. If we're talking about small files, like some of the files that you can see on the screen, those are fairly instantaneous, 5, 10 seconds, something like that. But when you're talking a couple of terabytes or more of data that's got to be recovered, the backup systems have backed up your data incrementally on an ongoing basis each night. So it has to reconstruct all of that incremental data into data that is readable by you. So it literally puts all of those documents back in the proper order and the proper sequence of events as when you modified them. Think about an Excel spreadsheet that you've modified on an ongoing basis over the last year. You want all of that data to be in there from the very first time you started creating that sheet all the way to the very last time. So that is why the recovery process can take quite a long time. Also part of our managed services program is our dark web monitoring. So this is not identity theft prevention. What it is more like proactive information gathering about whether or not some of your critical data has been in fact stolen from a major vendor and then put out on the dark web to be sold. As an example, my Home Depot card account was hacked a couple of years ago. The thieves stole the whole of the Home Depot database that contained my login information, my email address, and my password. So the idea of the dark web monitoring is to proactively notify you when there's a possibility that identity theft is about to take place. So as an example, if you've used one password to log into both your credit cards and your banks, now you've got a very real problem that your identity can be stolen. They'll get your social security number, your full name, all of the critical information about you. So by providing you this information, even if, as in my case, my information and Home Depot ended up out there. It quickly alerted me to the fact that, hey, if I've used this password somewhere else, I need to go change it now. Well, in that case, what I did was just changed all of my passwords for all of my financial accounts, all of my web accounts, everything. I just changed them all on the off chance that I had used the same one in a couple of places. That way I protected myself. So the whole idea here is to give you a proactive warning that there's a possibility that your identity is about to be stolen and to get that. And these alerts come into us on real time. So pretty much as soon as the systems find that information out there on the dark web, then we get notified and we pass that notification on to you. Now, it could take a week, it's sometimes a month from the time that, say, as an example, the Home Depot database was stolen till your information starts being sold out there on the web. So when we get these alerts, it'll have two dates in there. It'll have a date that the database was stolen and then a date that the systems picked it up. And that difference between the two is just the difference between the time the actual theft went on and the actual time your particular piece of information was purchased by a not too nice a person. Now, also a part of this dark web and security that we like to pass on is two-factor authentication. I'm sure you're all familiar with it today. Two-factor authentication is becoming a really big deal. And in fact, I will predict that within a couple of years, you won't be able to log into anything without two-factor authentication. And so we've already started deploying that for our customers on our virtual desktop, which you see scrolling along the bottom of your screen. There's the VDI, which is our cloud solution. We actually mandate that all of our VDI customers utilize two-factor authentication. It's simple. It just sends a notice to your phone, and you can set it up two different ways. You can just hit acknowledge on your phone or approve, or you can get a text message sent to you with a code in it, and you actually type in that code number. It adds about 15 seconds to your login, but those might be a very valuable 15 seconds in protecting you. So I want to thank you for joining us on this webinar today. We'd love to keep answering your questions in the chat boxes, and we'd love to talk to you. If you'd like to give us a call at 512-670-3930, or send us an email to sales@thin-knology.com. We'd really like to hear from you. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week, and hopefully we'll see and talk to you soon. Thank you.